Welcome back to another episode. This is Bullshit Podcast. I'm your boy Rae, along with Dre, and today we are going to talk about our viewpoints of. Um, I'm sorry. What was it again? I'm so
we just talked about this.
No, like we literally started recording, and he told me what it was, and I just blanked out.
It was one of those scenes where I told her, I was like, wait, what was the topic again? I told her, I was like, yeah. Okay, cool. He pressed record. All right, nigga, what we doing over the again?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so just our viewpoints. And I guess like what started it all is because like I know we have like people, well, at least like we know some people, whether it's from high school or maybe even college, or now starting to like have children and stuff like that around our age. So I guess kind of like, I guess that's what inspired us talking about this topic of having children at a young age. Now, disclaimer, at the end of the day,
this is just our opinion.
Exactly. At the end of the day, we're just two dudes just giving our opinion about this topic as far as any other topic. At the end of the day, what you do with your life, that's your choice. I'm not here to tell you what you should or should not do. As long as it's not harming yourself or other people, do you. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. So,
and just so you know, we don't have any experiences ourselves. I mean, I know he's an uncle, but like we don't have kids ourselves, and I don't plan on having kids for a while.
Because we had a couple close calls.
What you mean we had a couple close calls?
I know, well, there were a couple of times where you tested the group chat, be like, yo. So I think I got myself in some deep water. I was like, damn, you got somebody pregnant, didn't you?
No, that's y'all's first go-to. I tell, like, there is some deep stuff that I just say, and then that's their automatic go-to. Like, damn it, raise a father. No, I'm not. Like, but yeah. But I guess for this topic that we're talking about, I mean, you know, it's definitely possible to be a parent at a very young age and have children. I personally know someone who works a job at a retail store, and she has 2 kids, and she's like younger than me. Like I'm 21. And, like 2 kids before 21, and as far as I know, she doesn't have any college degree, whatever. She's just working at a part-time job, so that's definitely. And I mean, I see what she does for her kids, and I'm like, I don't think if right now, if I was a dad, I mean, I know I'd probably do what I could, but like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'd do it. Yeah, it'd probably be my mom having to take care, and my mom's in no condition to be taking care of a child. Well, besides taking care of me. But yeah, so I definitely give it to those. If shout out to those young adults who do have children of their own right now. Even if it was intentional or unintentional, I know most times it's unintentional. Just because you have a little fun, and then you just.
Stuff happens.
Exactly, stuff happens. Just something comes out of nowhere, and then you're like, "Oh crap, I'm pregnant." And you don't want to have an abortion, or maybe you're thinking about it, but whatever. And I know, especially with the whole Roe versus Wade thing, that's made a big impact for everyone.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I was thinking in my head. I was thinking about talking about it. I was like. Do I really want to bring it up in this episode, or?
I mean, this is kind of related to.
I guess we could.
So, I mean, if you don't know what happened with Roe versus, I'm pretty sure whoever's watching this knows about it because it blew up. And I mean, I don't agree with it at all. Like, as in, like what they're saying. Like, I don't even know why they went back and like reopened the case and everything, because I thought it was. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what it was till they reopened it, so that is my bad for not being educated. But like once I like read up about it and I heard from multiple people that I know, I was definitely like, why did we do? Because we literally took a huge step backwards as a country. And I know the decision is now like up to the states, individual states, whatever. But if a woman wants to do whatever she wants to her body, let her do it. She's the one carrying the child. Now, personally, my opinion, I think the man should have some input, but not like most input. If this is like a conversation, it's 90% the female and 10% the man. Like for example, if the woman's like, hey, I'm pregnant and I want to have an abortion or whatever. And then the man's like, I would like to have the kid, but since you're the one who's literally going to either have it or not have it, it's up to you. Like that's how it should be. And not should be the man's like, no, you're killing off my offspring. It's like, he's not even born yet. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. And then you could always just have another child. And if not, there is children who want to be adopted. I know that is a long process to do, but it's possible. So there's just definitely a big step back in the world. And again, I give it to those young parents who are dealing with this and stuff like that. Because I have another family friend who she's gave birth to her second child, and it was literally the week before the Roe versus Wade shit, and she was like pissed out of her mind because
sure.
Let's say if she got pregnant at that moment and then found out about Roe versus Wade, then let's say she didn't want the child. I mean, I know she did want the child, and the child is beautiful. I got to see her with my own eyes. But let's say she didn't want it, then like she's forced to have a child she wasn't planning to. And again, because the major problem I think for people, personally, again, my opinion, that I think for most people who are young and have kids is they're not financially stable yet. They could be like in middle school and getting pregnant, and they don't have a job. They just most you can get is a part-time job, but again, that's not enough to feed a baby because baby is expensive.
Right.
And regardless, you're always still taking care of your child, regardless if they're in your house. Like I know when I was at school, like my mom was still sending me money and shit because I was like, hey, I need a few $100s, and I have my own job at the time. But it's still like, even outside your house, you could be 50 years old and your mom's 70 or something. Your mom's still gonna be like, hey, nigga, you need some money, blah, blah, blah. You need me to come down, blah, 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 whatever. So, I don't know. It's just wild in the world. Like, do you have anything else to say about that? Because I have another point, but I'm not sure if I should go into it.
Well, like how far, like away from this is it still?
It's still relating. It's more just the R word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give my viewpoints about stuff, including like the Roe versus Wade situation.
Yeah.
We can touch up on that. So basically, just mostly on the same viewpoint as you are. I know a couple people are. Well, I know there are multiple people, more like younger than us, who are parents and are respect that they're willing to do whatever they can to make the best out of the situation, regardless of if the circumstances are ideal or not. I personally know people who I went to high school with that are now parents themselves, and for those people, congratulations. You know what I mean? That's definitely a major step in your life. So kudos to them. With that being said, I know I couldn't do it because a couple of things. Number one, I feel like, and I mentioned this before on a previous episode, spoiler alert, if you have not checked out the previous episodes, please make sure to do so. But I briefly mentioned this on a one of the previous episodes. I forgot which one it was, but yeah. I honestly believe when it comes to having a child, your life is no longer really like the way you can't really live life the way as you were living it once before. That you kind of can, depending on your circumstances, but it's kind of like any decision that you make, little or big,
It impacts.
you're impacting the child. You can't just look at yourself, the situation. You have to look into consideration of how would this affect the well-being of this other human being that I'm bringing into this world.
Yeah.
So that's something that you have to look forward to in regards to entering into that next step. Not to mention that even if I wanted to, I can't. I mean, well, I can. There's not, as in like, it's not that I don't have the ability to, but it's just kind of like knowing that my circumstances are obviously. I still personally feel like there's a lot more steps personally in my life that I have to get to in order to feel like I'm ready to take on that next step and I'm able to provide the life that I want to provide for my children. And I know that when I'm saying that, it kind of sounds like it's common sense, as in the sense of like me being 23 years old, you're probably looking at me like, well, Dre, obviously, like nobody really is like at your age. But the truth is kind of like some people could be at that point in their lives, whether it's 24, 25, 26. Some people probably were on that grind from a very young age and just continue to progress. And then by the time they get 25, 26, they're at a point where it's just like, okay, like I can, if I were to choose to have children, I'm able to provide that life for them. I know right now at the age of 23, I'm not at that point yet. Yeah. So as far as the Roe versus Wade thing, because I know he brought it up, so I guess I might as well bring my viewpoint as well. How do I put this? It's not in the fact that I don't care, because it's not in the sense that I don't want to be like nonchalant and ignorant about the whole thing. It's just more so of like, of all the other different problems that are going on in the world.
You don't think that's the most important?
Why did that all of a sudden become a main priority? Why did this all of a sudden become, since when, why is what a woman should be able to do with her body became a main priority in regards to like the laws and stuff like that? Because never mind the fact that there was a whole mass school shooting like weeks ago. Never mind the fact that we're like in the middle of war. Never mind the fact that you have gas prices going up. And never mind the fact that the economy is kind of like in a somewhat shitty place right now. And you have graduating college students like himself that are about to enter into the workforce, into this economic, the workforce with the economy in the state that it is right now. But with all these other problems that are going on right now, you decided that what should a woman be able to do with her body and what she shouldn't be able to do with her body just became a main priority. And to me, my main question is, why all of a sudden is that? And granted, I know like everything just became a main, everything's always like a process. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Of course, that's not what I'm saying, but it's kind of like, that's not really important right now. Not in the sense of like it's not important in general, but in the sense of that shouldn't be where your priority is. Right now, you should be looking at the current problems that are being faced right now, like the problems that we have right now, and being focused on that, not because of like other people being like, you know what? I don't think like women should be able to do this, and be like, you know what? You might have a point there. Let's go ahead and review back and over this. Like personally, no. But if you really want to know like my thoughts in regards to like abortion in general, typically I don't really like talking about topics like this, mainly because kind of like me as a guy, I feel a bit awkward of talking about it, because at the end of the day, we would never know at that point what it's like to actually have to carry a child inside of us. But I would say, like, I'm definitely of the same viewpoint of at the end of the day, a woman should have main say in what she should and shouldn't be able to do with her body, because at the end of the day, it makes sense. Because I kind of think of it like this. Say you picture like a household, right? The chills.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, this was so random.
It was.
But, yeah. Just picture like a household. You have like a father, mother, child or two, maybe three. That's not really important. Let's just say the father has like he ends up taking care of like majority of the responsibilities. He has like the most responsibilities within the household.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, when I view it from that perspective, I'm of the way I see it is, I believe in that situation, because he has the most responsibility, he also should have the most power over that household, because he takes on the most responsibility in that situation, ideally speaking.
Okay.
I just feel like that just makes sense if you end up taking like the most, or at least the most like significant responsibilities.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, I would still say he should confront his partner about his decision
like, obviously,
he wants to make.
Obviously, you want to like get input from your partner and from your children. Like, definitely not saying like, oh, screw you and your
because if he's like, oh, I'm the one who picks up the kids, I let you go out and I pay for food or whatever, he might be like, oh, well, I'm the literal man of the house. I don't need my wife's small little opinion,
right?
Because I'm doing most of the shit. Besides, occasional maybe she cooks or
of course
whatever. But yeah, just
and at the end of the day, that goes back to the point where I made previously before, where if he is to, ideally, he should also think of when he's making decisions like that, he should also take into the consideration of his family, including his partner and his children, of course. With that being said, though he's getting their input from them, he, at the end of the day, should be able to take consideration from them and ultimately make a decision from there. Big and little decisions, because that just makes sense. Like, he ends up taking like the most significant responsibilities. Now, where am I going with this? Back to the Roe versus Wade situation. Since the woman is the one that's carrying on the most significant responsibility of carrying the child in her body for 9 months.
I mean, because the only thing the man did was this.
I mean, but let's be real here. It might be a small percentage, but at the end of the way, I mean, it's an important percentage. Yeah. That's not to downplay like a woman's part, because of course she takes on the majority.
Yeah. That's why I said the other part is he helps it get started, and then he takes care of her during the process.
Because at the end of the day, like, where is that sperm coming from?
I know. Just that's what I said. He gets it started, and then he takes care of her during the process, because 9 months is a long time,
right?
And unless she's a single mom, then the man is like, hey, let's make sure you exercise and eat well and blah blah, that stuff. But yeah, and then driving, because that's ain't no pregnant mom gonna be like, all right, time to get on the road.
Nah, it's crazy.
No. Unless her parents do it or something, but yeah.
Man, but like I mentioned, just like in the previous example, since the father, in that situation would take on, like, he has the most say, including the consideration of the people around him, but he is the leader in regards to his household and his situation. I feel like in the woman's situation, in regards to carrying the child for 9 months and giving birth to that child, she should have the main say what she should be able to do with her body and what she shouldn't be able to do with her body. Because at the end of the day, she's taking on the most responsibility. So when I think of it from that perspective, I just feel like that's what makes sense.
Yeah,
Because she has the most important.
yeah, because I guess it's just coincidence that we're talking about this topic because I just watched The Godfather and the second one, and so spoiler alert, it's been out for a long time, so go. You get mad at me, it's not my fault, but
I don't think they care.
I mean, I'm just saying they're classic movies, so I don't want to blah blah. But yeah, so in The Godfather 2, the Godfather, his name is Michael. He has a wife and kid, and so him and his wife were planning to expect, and so they had they almost got. I forgot what it was called, where like someone tried to go to his assassination attempt was made on him, and so he had like left his family to go deal with that, just because he wanted to keep them safe. So he wanted to go deal with that, and stuff like that. And so when he came back home, he asked about the status of like the baby because it was a long time. And so like I want to say right hand henchman because he had like an equal. They all have like positions since it's like an Italian mafia. They all have like positions, so he's like kind of one and also the top leader. So he asked, he's like, "Oh, like what happened? Like is my child here?" And so the leader was like, "Oh, she had a miscarriage." But hearing that news, he was kind of distraught. He was just like, "Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah." And so him and his wife were kind of like distant, but that was not actually the case. So the United States, government or Congress or whatever, I don't remember exactly what they call it. They had opened up a case, on him trying to identify if he was the leader of the Italian mob and if he's murdered people and stuff like that because they did a lot of shit or whatever. And during that time, he was like saying no. He was like, blah, 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 you're accusing me all this stuff, like you're wrong or whatever. And so during that, he had like gotten a conversation with the wife, and the wife had wanted nothing to do with him anymore. And so she's like, hey, we're going to leave. And he's like they were all supposed to go somewhere. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, we're all supposed to leave tomorrow. And she's like, no, like, me and the children are leaving you for good. I just wanted to bring the children so they could say goodbye to you, blah, blah. And he was very persistent on, like, you are not taking my children from me type stuff.
Understandable.
And, Boba, and he's like, I know you're mad at me about the miscarriage and stuff. And then she just straight screamed out. She's like, it wasn't a miscarriage, it was an abortion. She's like, I didn't want, because in that family Italian mob, every child that they raised they put straight into the mob, like the family, that's what they called it. So like even his kid at the time was part of the family. Like, if they wanted to, let's say if he's like, hey dad, I want to go be an engineer, he's like, no, you have a responsibility to this family to help protect us and stuff. And so the wife straight up said, she's like, yeah, I made the choice. I didn't want, and like the dad, he's like, oh, is it a son? Like, was the baby going to be a son, a boy or whatever? And she's like, yes. And she's like, and I didn't want to bring a son into the world just for you to make him do what your son is currently not doing or whatever. She's like, and she's like, I don't want to bring any more. She called him monster. She's like, I don't want to bring any of your monster children into the world and whatever. So he got really upset, and he slapped her in a very aggressive way. And again, he's like, you are not taking my children away from me, and shit like that. And I mean, because he's an Italian mob, he won custody. So it got to the point where she would have to secretly like sneak in her own house to go visit her children, and then like Michael has like siblings in the movie, so one of the siblings was close to the wife, and she was like, "Hey, well, Michael's coming, go say goodbye to your children." Um, and while that was happening, Michael like caught her, like trying to be with her children. And it was like in a way like she was like outside the house, like there's a door in between them, and then Michael just like kind of closed the door in the face. He didn't like slam it. He was just like disappointed, like, wow, your mom's over here trying to try to be in life. But yeah, I said to one of my friends, I was like, if that movie came out now, especially with what just happened, like I don't think it would have done well. There would have been a lot of shit talking, just because he was so against her decision to abort the child, because again it was her decision and he wasn't there the whole time because he was too busy trying to figure out the whole who trying to assassinate me type shit. So for him to come back and be like, oh, what the fuck, this is whatever, like in today's world, if this movie came out, I don't think it would have done well. And whatever. And I was just like, damn, like that part was powerful in the movie, just because again it was her choice, and she's like, yeah, I don't want to bring a child into the world just for them to have a devotion to this family when they could be doing something else. And it's kind of coincidence because Michael, when he was growing up, same thing, his family was expecting him to be like go straight into the family, and he's like, oh no, he's like, I'm enlisting in the army. And they kind of like at least his siblings kind of disowned him because they like thought he was going to join the Italian mob. It's like that. So they're like, you're joining the fucking army, like, you piece of shit. Your devotion to your family, you're supposed to be with us. And he's just like, well, I want to do what I want to do. So it's kind of like he's been a hypocrite in a way. So yeah, I don't know. I just find that very interesting. But yeah, again, I do agree. It is completely up to y'all women to do whatever you please with the child. Again, I would just say, because again, the child is yours as much as it is the father's. Just have a little talk, because I would rather the father hear that you want to have an abortion instead of you just having it and some shit like, child dad's like, oh, so is our baby? He's like, oh no, I decided not to have it, and then they're distraught because you didn't tell them. And I don't think there's been any big significant thing like this happening, but I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in the world where, wife or girlfriend just didn't tell, and then it's like, well, you didn't tell me? Like, what the fuck is this? This is our relationship, communication. Right. You ain't tell me. Oh shit. So, and I know this also has a huger impact among people who, like I said, the R word. Apparently, I found out on YouTube you can't say it. So I'm just gonna say it's rope, but with another letter. Especially victims of that, now they're like, fuck, like, now young girls are gonna be scared because there are predators out there in the world who want to do some damage. And now, if a predator happens to leech onto a young female and get her pregnant, now she has to have that child, even though she doesn't want to. And like I said, depending on the states, some states are saying it's illegal to have an abortion. So you really gonna lock someone up just because they got attacked, and now the decision that they, don't want to visually see the embodiment of that attacker. And, because who knows? We're just like everyone in your family, like they all have some related, like some families all have the same genetic disease or something. or just coincidentally, I don't know what else to say, but basically, you know, let's say an attacker gets a girl pregnant and then she has a child. Who's to say? God forbid, who's to say that child won't become an attacker because it's already in the attacker's genes? So, like, who says that? I mean, and I'm a pray that if that is the case, that she raises him in a way that he won't repeat what his dad does. But you know, it's just like that sometimes. It's just like they said, a generation of fathers who just don't be there for the child, and then of course there's that one son who's like, "Okay, I'm gonna be different," and I hope that's the same way. And I don't know if I'm straying away from this, but yeah, I just think it's wild. But I kind of like what you were saying earlier, like agree to disagree, because you were saying the importance. Because there, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of other important shit in the world. Like we're still dealing with racism in the world, and like you said, we have a whole war on our hands. Shit, especially me being a college student, I'm trying to figure out my whole debt situation with the Joe Biden trying to clear debt shit, and then the economy, all other stuff. But I guess it was just such a big impact because it just strays. It was basically just like females just got on the internet one day and they just saw a big article saying, "Hey, yeah, we can control what you do with your body now." So I think that's why. And
well, let me back up. It wasn't like why is it such a big deal, as in like why is it upset them? It was more so like why did this become a major like why did you feel the need to go back and review like that whole like law when there are other problems that are going on currently at that point in time? Yeah, especially if there wasn't like already some sort of issue with this. Now, like me said again, like nothing really happens overnight. But hypothetically speaking, if I were to find out as a U.S. citizen that they just completely put all that other shit on hiatus until just completely ignored all the other problems to then just turn around and put focus on this whole situation, then I'll be pissed off because not only does this whole set of problems not really being solved, you just created a whole nother set of problems by messing with something that didn't really need to be messed with.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's what I said. Like, I don't know what encouraged them to reopen this thing, because I'm pretty sure, you know, and the stuff that was did in the old time, just leave it be. Unless it is like wrong, then yeah, take a peek at it. But you know, if there was no law previously saying it's illegal to now have an abortion, and you know that abortions happen each and every day, why would you be like, let's make this shit illegal, just get everybody on edge, and then act like we ain't doing nothing? Like, because I would also think from the perspective of them, since they're all old in the Supreme Court and shit like that, and you know everyone's like, oh well, they're white and shit like that. And yes, race does have something to do with it a little bit. Well, I don't want to say a little bit. Just it has something to do with it. But I would also just think, if you're making that decision, just envision if you have a granddaughter. And again, same thing. If she gets attacked and you pass that law, then you're like, oh shit, that law I just helped pass, I'm now going to see my granddaughter have a child she doesn't want to have. And again, it could be for the young adult shit. Because again, like we said, we're not ready to have kids. So what makes you think if this shit happens to a middle schooler, their whole life is like, now they got to drop high school and not even maybe get the opportunity to go to college and all that stuff. So it's impacting in every way. Because now I heard now they're gonna ban possibly birth control and shit like that, which I know some girls are on for a long time, so then once they get off that shit, it's gonna mess them up. And then now people also, college is an experimentation. Everyone doesn't like to fuck around in college, so now niggas
Ain't
really
nobody
gonna
doing
have
that.
to, huh?
I would say, I wonder how that's gonna go. Well,
Yeah.
in regards to like how that's going to impact college experience culture and stuff like that.
Girls at this point, if it does become if it is illegal here in Texas, girls are for sure. I'm pretty sure gonna be a little hesitant to experiment now. And if they do, they're gonna be like, "Hey, where's your condom? You gotta put on 2." And no pokey holes, like all that shit. Because again, yeah, shit might fuck you up. Or either that, or
To be fair, as a guy, I'd be like, shit, fine by me. I was already doing what I need to do anyway.
I know, but there are some guys, purposely probably try to.
Well, of course,
trap a girl.
Because at the end of the day, I can't speak for every guy.
Exactly. So we're not that guy. Or guys, I should say.
You're not that guy, pal.
Huh?
You're not that guy, pal.
You said you're not that guy, or we're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal.
So you are?
I just felt like saying it.
That's what it's like, nigga, I don't know what you're trying to say. But yeah, again, and that's what it said. I think this is why it impacts everyone. But yeah, again, I don't know why they touched this. They should have left it big, but now they just made a bigger problem than it is. Because again, like you said, school shootings, because I heard just released the school shooting for Uvalde. So now people can actually see the cops not entering the space while the mass shooter was murdering children. It's like that, and we have other shit that we're already done with. We're trying to go to space, we've already been to space, but I'm pretty sure there's some in law like trying to get niggas up living in Mars right now. So like, it don't help that you're kind of starting more. I don't want to say war, but more hostile environments in your own country. And funny enough, Jordan found a TikTok saying that like huge major countries after they hit a 250-year mark, they fall apart, like they dismantle, like all the empires back then, Native Americans, all this shit. Guess what year we're here at it for the United States?
I guess we're near 250.
We're because of this year, I think we're now like the United States is now considered 245 years old. So if that cycle has been repeated, apparently it has been confirmed for all the major countries. So if we hit that 250 mark, and this is already leading down that path, it's not gonna end up well. We might just have I wouldn't be surprised if people try to segregate, or not segregate. I forgot where the word is. Secede.
Secede.
Yeah, that's what it said. Secede, try to make their own country, or happy. People moving. Just like that, because everyone's like, "Oh, the United States is not my place." We talk about peace, and yet we always doing something to make
to affect people's freedom.
Exactly. So
at the end of the day, when you trying to take shape or form, it's not gonna end well.
Exactly. Well, I don't really know what else to talk about. I think we hit all the points.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just our thoughts on that. And I know everyone has their own opinion, so you might not agree with us with that, but that's just what we thought. So again, shout out to those young parents who have their own kids. Again, if it was intentional or unintentional, doing a great job. Keep it up. You'll get I know maybe if the kid is young now, you probably won't get the appreciation, but once you tell him like, yo, I had you when I was like 18, like, shit, I'm 18. You was able to do what you did for me. Like, there's gonna be some appreciation, like when you get older, for sure. It just hasn't come yet. I know for me, like you said, yeah, there's some things that you need to work on. There's some things I didn't work on because I know for sure for me, I don't know if you notice this about me, but I'm not patient. I'm not patient. Like even today when we work out, I know you always do a steady, like if we're doing a set or something, you do steady 60. I'd be like 60. I'm like, nah, let me just go to 80. Then let me go to 100 or whatever. But you know, just like that. And then also, I have my lazy moments. So you know, if I were to have a kid, I would definitely have to get rid of that because I can't be lazy. You know, if I'm having a kid because I need to be full on. But yeah, so you got anything else to say?
They were good.
All right. Well, thank you for watching this episode of the podcast. This is Bullshit. Like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you want to do. Yeah, just keep us. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now.
You want me to end it?
Yeah, I'm so tired.
Like you mentioned, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell on the side. You might as well. Go on. Come on. You're already there. If you hit the subscription button, might as well hit the bell on the side.
The subscription button, nigga, they subscribing to some Amazon Prime or some shit.
Good point. If you hit the subscribe button, you might as well hit the bell that's on the side to it. It's already right there. So go ahead, hit that bell. That way you'll be notified every time we post another episode. Make sure to watch on the previous episodes that we already posted prior to this. Also, leave a comment to help us come up with more topics on our podcast. Would definitely help us a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I got.
Well, he already said everything I was going to say, so we'll see y'all in the next one.